In the meantime, we shall discuss this here episode of Nitro number 148, July 13th, 1998. I'm going to repeat that because apparently people get confused. 148.
You know what's funny,
July
by the way?
13th, 1998.
You know what's funny also? Is I was 40 minutes into the show, and it was before Bagwell came out healthy, that it struck me, we've gotten 40 minutes, and there's been like no mention of Goldberg winning the title at the show. Now, granted, they did open this Nitro with Goldberg winning the title, but then we had 3 hours of television that was not devoted to Goldberg until the last 2 minutes of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
This was the Hulk Hogan show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I knew that, but it was like even wackier looking back in hindsight. They put the title on Goldberg, and the whole show was built around Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And Goldberg came out for one match in the final 2 minutes of the show as champion.
Uh-huh.
Dude.
Well, 3 hours to kill, so we got a very long edition of the Nitro Girls dancing. I was fine with this, by the way. It
They're in Vegas, by the way.
was great.
Yes.
Announcers bragged about the most watched wrestling match in the history of cable television last week. Fans were just demanding flair. And a video package devoted to Goldberg's win last week.
Thankfully, 10 minutes of the show was nothing. I fast-forwarded like crazy.
That's true. Now, we talked about Hogan last week doing everything he could to make Goldberg a star. We did not give him a credit for this pinfall. This is not just a 3 count. Goldberg covers him. The ref counts 3. Goldberg pops up. The ref pops up. Everyone's cheering. Hogan just lies there. He was down for like a 10 count or more. He did everything he could have done on that night to put Goldberg over. So Hogan and his crew come out. Says Goldberg's a flash in the pan. He loves his brothers like a family, but it's only Scott Hall's fault he was in that situation to face Goldberg in the first place. And as he's running Scott Hall down, Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude apparently just ad-libbing.
They were the best bouncers of all time.
Rude, in his suit, just kind of walks over and puts himself in a position to be behind Hall. And he looks at Kurt, and Kurt looks at Rude, and does, through body language, give him an elbow. Nothing happened, but Kurt wanted Rick to lay out Hall from behind.
I just loved that everybody was fine, and then Hogan blamed Hall, and as soon as he put the heat on Hall, that's when they realized, we better get behind this guy, because we're about to kill him.
Shit might go down. We should be prepared.
Oh, they were excited.
Oh, yeah. So Hogan challenges Hall to a match tonight.
That's why they're great heels. Like, they're all buddy-buddy, and they all talk about how it's for life, but the moment Hogan put heat on Hall, they didn't even blink. No. They were like, well, we got to take this guy out.
Do what the boss says.
He's out of here.
Yep. So, Hall says, I did everything you asked me. Goldberg beat you too, and I accept your challenge. Hogan refers to himself as the big bad creep.
Oh, my gosh.
Then turns and asks Bischoff what he's laughing at.
He had so many horrible lines here.
He's laughing because you just called yourself the big bad creep.
And he referred to Nash as Little Bo Peep, and he was the big bad creep.
That's what he said.
That's gross.
Well, he also, when he told Bischoff that he was going to referee tonight and call it down the middle, he said we'd find out who rules and who drools.
Yes.
That's what he said, Craig.
I know.
So Hogan insists Bischoff is the ref for the match. Hall throws his toothpick and shirt in Hogan's face. Everyone faces off as Hall on one side, everyone else on the other. And Hogan says, let's watch the disciple take care of business.
You know, the disciple was standing there, and they
That's what he does best.
showed the back of his head.
Oh, yeah.
And if you recall in like 92, 93, Brutus and Hogan, or no, something happened with Brutus. I don't think they were together. There was another accident they were
Sailing.
together. But anyway, Brutus was like parasailing or something, and he got his face just destroyed.
Yes.
So they show the back of his head, and there's this fucking gigantic, like 3-inch long thing on the back of his head. And I was like, can't believe all these years I never noticed that giant scar he had on him from that accident. But then I realized those are fresh stitches.
Yeah.
Turns out DDP whacked this guy with the chair. Mm-hmm. They claimed 47 stitches.
Mm-hmm. I claim BS.
I'm not sure that's true, but this was a disaster. The back of this dude's head.
Gash.
Yeah.
And Disciple was not happy. So what do? They sent him to a match.
Oh, yeah. So, Disciple is rambling on, it was a fine promo, but he calls Page a coward, hit me in the chair with the back of my head, left me with 47 stitches. I want a match with you tonight, Dallas Page. And this is going Scott Hall in the background just waves his hands and walks out of the ring. Just had enough of this shit. And Hogan and Disciple just ramble and ramble and ramble, and eventually I stopped paying attention, and the next thing I knew, it was done.
You know, we should keep in mind, by the way, that DDP hit him with a chair, and he required 47 stitches or whatever the night before. You really think he got out of that without a concussion?
Oh, of course not.
Back in the ring here tonight.
He didn't do anything, but
His first match. They waited to make him wrestle until after he'd been concussed. They let us know Hogan and Rodman had beaten Page and Malone at Bash on the Beach after Disciple had laid Page out with the Apocalypse.
Yeah, the
Which
Apocalypse.
is a stunner. Horace versus Barbarian.
this match went. It was 28 minutes into the show, and we had our first wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
I hope you were keeping track of how many match wrestling we got as this hour went on.
I didn't, actually.
Match was not very good. I like when, I guess they had a spot planned where Barbarian was going to, there'd be belly to belly, and Barbarian would overhook the arms and do a suplex.
Yes, I noticed that too.
Only the spot somehow ended up with Horace having the double overhooks. So Barbarian just threw him off, grabbed his arms, and threw him anyway. And they did some stuff for a while. This also had 47 things going on. Jimmy Hart got involved, a stop sign, and eventually Barbarian kicked the stop sign into Horace's face and pinned him.
Well, at least it was poetic. Horace hit him with the sign behind the ref's back for the heat, and then he tried to use it again. Barbarian used the kick of fear to the sign for the win.
Sure.
Then I got so mad.
I bet you did.
I got so happy, and then I got so sad. Rarely does it happen in such short order.
The flock runs out to attack the Barbarian. Who should make the save but the monster Meng?
Yay.
Meng cleans house like only he can
You're
do.
saying yay? I think the key to this show is, this happened twice on this show. Once with Ming and Barbarian.
Oh, yeah.
Once with Hall and Nash.
Yep.
And do you know it was the same in both situations?
Nobody cared.
The fans were so furious.
Yeah.
Because the fans would love to see Ming and Barbarian together. It's not like they're the best team in the world. I mean, they are, but the fans didn't think so. But the fans knew that they were better together than doing these bullshit matches apart.
Yeah.
And obviously, they loved seeing Hall and Nash together. So you teased the fans with two things they wanted to see, and then you took it away from them. It was like I was watching Raw today.
Yes. So Meng cleans house. We don't talk enough about, of all the many reasons Meng is awesome, he's got this kick that's like half big boot and half super kick. It's great. It's fucking great. And he cleans house.
There's no technique involved with it.
It just throws
But
up
you
there.
believe that he'd kill you with it.
Oh, sure. And Barbarian thinks they are friends again, but then Meng drops him with a Tongan death grip.
I did like that the Barbarian obviously was close to Meng. They were buddies. And boy, did he sell this death grip.
Oh, yeah.
He laid there like a dead body.
He'd been killed.
Yeah.
It's the death grip for a reason. Had pics of Goldberg beating Hennig at Bash to the Beach.
I loved Hennig's promo when he came out.
Hennig and Rude did a promo.
Hennig comes out. And first off, Rude says, I wasn't at the pay-per-view last night to watch your back because somebody canceled my ticket. He flat out blamed Goldberg.
Sabotage.
Like Goldberg had called the airline. Hello.
I'm Rick. Cancel my flight.
My name is Rick Rude. This is pre-9/11. Can you just cancel my flight?
Here, let me comb my mustache.
In fact, I got a new mailing address and a new name for you to send my reimbursement check.
straighten my tie.
Same abs, though.
So then Hennig comes out and he says, I lost to Goldberg last night, but I learned his weakness.
It's even funnier in hindsight.
Tonight I want another match, and I'm going to exploit that weakness. And Rick, you know that if I think I can win a fight by myself, I want to do it by myself. And I think I can, so I want you to stay in the back. I'm going to exploit this weakness, and I'm going to be the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. And because I did it by myself, Goldberg will have nothing to cry about.
I had to laugh because
It was awesome.
I had to laugh because Hennig was the tannest he's ever been on WCW. He's like, I'm in the main event.
I guess so.
I got to look good.
Rude asks, are you sure? It's really what you want to do? But he reluctantly agreed. Had a special bonus match at the pay-per-view.
And I'm pretty sure that that's exactly what happened, by the way. Hennig wasn't even screwing with us. Rude never came out.
Oh, no.
Hennig really thought that he knew His weakness.
I guess so.
What an idiot. I love stupid heels. They're way better than stupid baby faces.
That's true. So a special bonus match at the pay-per-view was Rey Mysterio Jr. making his surprise return to challenge Chris Jericho for the Cruiserweight title and win the title via some sort of interference from Dean Malenko. It looked like, by countout, honestly, he'd won. But they gave him the belt. So Mean Gene's there to interview JJ and Ray. Jericho soon interrupts. Produces the WCW rulebook.
That's a goddamn thick rule book.
It's just like War
There's
and
no
Peace.
way there's that many rules in WCW. That's impossible.
It gets thrown out every night.
He turns to page 257.
I was hoping it was Death of WCW with the dust jacket off. But then I realized it hadn't been published
That
yet.
would be quite a feat.
That would have been pretty awesome, though.
Let's go back to the future, Marty.
Have to get the new breed on
That's
this.
how we know there's no time travel. Because what a rib that would have been.
Because if we had time travel,
That's first on my
the
list.
first thing we would do is plant books in the future on old TV shows.
Wrestling, specifically.
This one. I'd go back, I'd switch this book out.
So page 257 in the WCW rulebook states, if a suspended wrestler interferes in a match, the result of that match will be rendered null and void. Why isn't this the rule for all interference?
Here's the better question.
Suspended or not?
Why would a suspended wrestler be in the building for a wrestling show?
Well, who the fuck knows, but it happened.
I know.
So it's a good thing that rule was in there.
I'll tell you.
So, Dylan admitted this rule is true, and technically the match last night never took place, and technically Chris Jericho was still champion. And then he went on and on and on. Malenko comes out, you'll never get away with this.
Worst supervillain ever. Or superhero ever.
No, you're right the first time, really.
Okay.
And Jericho says, you guys should wrestle each other for a title shot at me. And Ray and Dean are competitors. They agreed with that. And
Oh, I forgot to mention
AJ
this in the
booked the
Raw
match.
report. Because it kind of plays into Jericho, who they both hate, signs a match, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
On the Raw show, Hunter comes out with this fucking convoluted gobbledygook idea about, let's have a match, and Steve, you're going to be at ringside as a ref.
Sure.
Undertaker, you're going to be at ringside as a ref. And I mean, Steve Austin makes it patently obvious in the ring that this is a stupid idea, he doesn't want to be part of it. Mm-hmm. Then he comes out and does it. What? Why did his character come out to referee that main event? Why did Undertaker's character do it?
He didn't have a cooler full of beer.
Not to mention, Vince signed the match and he hates Vince. That's double reason to not do it.
I guess you got to pick your battles.
It was stupid is what it was, Vinny. Don't defend it.
Pick your battle, Vinny.
Yeah, this is a bad one.
Move on.
Don't die on this hill.
So this Nitro party,
Oh, God.
was this the worst one yet?
Yes.
You say that every time.
No, this one was really bad.
These dorks.
Oh,
These
wow.
dorks.
By the way,
It's the worst one ever.
Vince Verhey calling somebody
when
a
Vince,
dork.
when Vince
Please.
is appalled at the dorkiness of these guys, it's
Yes.
got to be the worst ever.
Oh, my God. Hacksaw Duggan versus Rick Fuller in a match that actually happened in 1998 on Nitro.
Funniest part was I thought it was Hacksaw Duggan versus Wrath. And it was a good 2 minutes into the match before I realized it was Rick Fuller.
Rick Fuller was probably better than Wrath.
Oh, yeah.
It was definitely better than Duggan.
Well, yeah. When this started, I thought, God, maybe Fuller will win. I couldn't figure out any other reason for this to happen. Because Fuller, as we've noted, was good and big.
Yes.
I can't believe that Hacksaw was able to win without the taped fist.
Hacksaw won without.
That's the most amazing thing.
He squashed Rick Fuller and won with a 3-point stance and the knee drop. Why is Hacksaw Duggan winning squash matches on Nitro in 1998?
Fair question.
Well, you know, they were paying him hundreds of thousands of dollars. He hadn't worked in a year. And they figured, well, we got 3.5 hours, so let's have him do a move and win with the old glory.
Hour number 2 officially started.
Here's Bagwell again. This
No.
time he's hurt.
Before that, the pyro's going off. They're saying, it's hour number 2. Here's where it occurred to me. In the first 60 minutes of the show, we had seen 2 matches that went 2 minutes each. What a Nitro. What action.
I didn't even notice.
Speaking of pyro, we totally glossed over Undertaker almost losing his head.
Yeah, Taker was on the before his match, he goes up on the steps and he goes to shoot off his pyro and the fire shoots up essentially in his face.
Kane's pyro went off instead of Taker's, basically.
Yeah. And Taker kind of leaned back because it's fire and then just went on with his life. Unless you actually set him on fire, you won't break him. And we've seen that too.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nothing to apologize for. They recap Buff Bagwell's appearance in promo last week.
Guys are so polite. It's ridiculous.
Very friendly. So Buff comes out again. I remembered his appearance last week, and of course I remember where the rest of Buff's career goes. I totally forgot this incident here ever happened. Buff is pushed out in a wheelchair by his doctor. And Gene says, Buff, I got to ask you what's going on with the NWO. And Bagwell says, so much has changed since I've been gone. There's black and white. There's red and black. I got to move on with my life. Scott Steiner's got to move on with his. But before I move on, I got something to say to Rick Steiner, the man who did this to me. Because I've always been a guy, when I fall off a bike or fall off a horse or crash a bike, I always get back up. I always move on, but I can't move on until I say something to Rick Steiner. So Rick Steiner comes out, his arm's in a sling too. And then before Buff can say anything, out comes Hogan and the Disciple. Buries him, calls him a couple of cripples.
He says the only thing I hate more than cowards is cripples.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yes. He buries Buff for crying and whining, and the next thing you know,
He says he's sick of all this babyface crap.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Those were his exact words.
That's funny. Then he tipped the wheelchair over, and Buff and his near-paralyzed neck go tumbling to the floor. People are outraged. Buff is down grabbing his neck. Rick can't do anything. His arm's in a sling. Hogan walks to the back. Crowd's telling him he sucked. All I could think was, oh my God. If Buff came back for this, and they did 6 months of Buff beating NWO guy after NWO guy, leading up to a match with Hogan, giant business.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking this as it's occurring to me, thinking, and it's not what they did. It's not close.
It's not even close.
They didn't try.
I realized that Hogan was sabotaging the show and hijacking it and making it all about himself.
You don't say.
But with that said, this was such an amazing heat angle.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was so good. And I thought, Bagwell's got to come back and beat Hogan for the title. Of course he didn't.
we know that.
Yeah.
Watching what didn't happen, but we can't help but think it's what had to happen.
Exactly.
It's just staring you right there in the face.
It was just, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, this is the greatest setup for this comeback.
And it's not like Buff wasn't a babyface for years.
No, and he was a
awesome.
babyface here. He was a babyface last week.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're idiots.
Oh, it would have been so great. I've mentioned this before. They gave millions and millions of dollars to Bret Hart. And then have done nothing with him except for that one match with Flair. Mm-hmm. Bret Hart wrestled Booker T at the pay-per-view. In the weeks leading up to that show, they do one thing to tease that happening on Nitro? Anything to advertise that Bret Hart's going to be wrestling on the pay-per-view, perhaps you should purchase it to justify our pay of his salary?
No. That wasn't the...
I knew it was happening.
But hold on. Let me defend it.
I think so, yeah.
But it didn't matter
It's like 2 weeks
because
ago they did something for
it
it.
wasn't selling one additional buy over the Rodman, Hogan, DDP, Malone thing. I mean, the show did enormous business. They didn't need to promote this match.
That's true.
The bigger issue is he's just out here having a very good match with Fit Finlay.
That happened on Nitro,
And it was like a really fun match.
Yes.
But I watched it and I just thought, cool.
Yeah.
You
wasn't
paid this
special.
guy $2.5 million a year
to be a good mid-carder.
to just be a fella that comes out and does matches. I realized that like they kind of had a long-term deal. Like eventually he was going to split from Hogan, feud over the title and everything like that. And that's obviously a long time coming. But man, just had nothing for the guy to do.
No.
On paper, this looks like a dream match. Finlay and Bret Hart. And they went out there and
I thought it was
it was okay.
great for the time they had.
It was good.
They had a professional wrestling match.
They did.
They went back and forth a bit, and then Bret caught him in the sharpshooter, and Finlay tapped out. The end. It was much better than 47 things going on in every show on Raw, every match on Raw. It was much better than Stevie Ray versus Rick Martel.
Oh, poor Rick.
Well, here's the story. Martel blew out his knee, was gone forever, after he'd had a really good run and was looking awesome. Mm-hmm. He heals, he gets back in great shape, he comes back here.
Giant knee brace.
They say, you're going to be working Stevie Ray your first match back. Gets in the ring. They give him 9 minutes. He's doing this match
With Stevie Ray.
with Stevie Ray. He puts him in like a crab or whatever. God bless Bret Hart. When I was a kid, I loved Bret Hart. He was one of the wrestlers I emulated. Bret Hart has always claimed I never hurt anybody.
Wrong.
He comes out here with a steel chair and he fucking whacks Rick Martel right in the back of the head.
The back of the head.
Martel's like on Dream Street, and then Stevie Ray grabs the guy. I think I mentioned this last week. Maybe I didn't. Why the fuck did you give this move to Stevie Ray? A double underhook elevated pedigree. Drops Rick Martel right on his fucking head 2 segments after Bagwell was out there with a broken neck. And Rick Martel fucked up his neck and never wrestled again. That was the story of the return of Rick the Model Martel.
Sad.
That fucking sucks.
It sure as shit does.
Start to finish.
One thing he did leave out, Stevie Ray came out with the television title. Apparently he's holding it for Booker T.
Well, we'll get to that. Yeah, before I should add, by the way, that in the 10 minutes prior to the end of Rick Martel's career, this match was awful. They did a bunch of arm bars, the crowd let them know how boring it was over and over again, and then tragedy struck.
Stevie was terrible. Not as terrible as The Disciple, for example, but we'll get to that. Or Barry Darsow.
Oof.
Or a half dozen other guys on this show.
So, after the match, a blown-up Stevie Ray does a promo. His Booker T is in the hospital. Has given me power of attorney to defend the TV title. He promised to bring documents proving this next week. He rambles on about being a fighting champion, and Gene tries to wrap it up, and Stevie takes the mic back and says something else, and Gene tries to wrap it up, and Stevie takes the mic back, and oh my God. Eventually they finished. It sucked.
Show did.
Pics of Conan beating Disco Inferno at the pay-per-view. Then we had Conan versus Barry Darsow. And I thought, you know what?
Dude.
If Hacksaw Duggan get a good one on this show, maybe Smash can too.
No. Less said about it, the better. Conan won.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, that all happened. DDP came out for a promo. Apparently, Mike Tenay was legit scared out of his chair by Paige's pyro. Paige accepted Disciples' challenge, and they did a match.
You know, old DDP did the best he could here, and the fans loved it. And I guess it was a good match as a result, but my God, was Disciple terrible.
Yes.
He was so horrible.
Was he ever really good?
No.
No, he
barber?
was not ever really good.
Right. So why do you expect anything else?
Well, because they're professionals.
Not to mention he probably has
and he's in there
concussion.
with DDP, and it was scripted move for move, and it was like 2 minutes. I mean, how can you fuck that up?
Well, they did. So, Rude comes out. He crotches Paige in the apron, but then Paige throws Disciple into Rude, wins with the schoolboy. And then as Paige is going to the back, Hogan jumps him with a chair, and then NWO all gains up.
Hogan is working so hard to get his heat back. He's working so hard. He's working overtime.
Canyon versus Raven versus Saturn. How much better does Saturn look in wrestling gear?
Yeah.
That was great.
He looked great in this match.
That too.
So this was a triangle match?
Yes.
That's what they said.
A hardcore triangle match?
No.
Kinda.
Well, I mean, they used every hardcore thing they could think of.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true.
How the fuck do you have a count out
I don't know.
in a 3-way hardcore
I
match?
don't know.
This was bullshit.
I always thought triangle matches didn't have
I don't know.
There were no countouts, no DQ in a triangle match. Is
The
that
action
correct?
here was really fun.
Yeah.
They did a lot of stuff the fans had never seen before.
Canyon did moves.
Canyon did all kinds of moves as he's
Everyone
wanted
you
to
could think of.
Raven suffered some sort of serious injury in this match, like cracked ribs, or he went to the hospital after this match. I don't even know how. The other two guys did all the work.
Saturn's elbow, maybe?
They did the cool... There was a cool spot where Saturn and Canyon were on the top ropes, and Canyon tried to splash, and Raven rolled out of the way, but he rolled right into range for Saturn to hit a splash instead. That was a great spot, and it should have been the finish because it was awesome. They did some stuff, and then Canyon and Saturn just brought up the aisle and got counted out.
Yeah.
Dean Malenko versus Rey Mysterio Jr.
This was good.
This was
Spectacular.
great, and it was so great. It looked like it was so easy for them.
It was.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
But like, if they had finished this great match and gone to the back and they said, "Guys, we need to do another great match," they would have said, "Okay," and gone out and done the exact same great match again.
There was one thing I must criticize, though, in this great match. So they do a deal where Ray goes running, and Malenko vaults him over his head, and Ray's supposed to land on the top rope,
Yeah.
and he slips, and because Ray is like a professional
Right.
and a really great wrestler, he wraps his knee around the top and middle rope and falls backwards and starts screaming and grabbing his bad leg.
Yep.
Dean Malenko looks at him, lifts him up, and shoots him off the ropes for a high spot. I was like, Ray just gave you on a silver platter the
Yes.
opportunity to work over his leg for a little bit and turn it into a spot in the match so people would know that it was an obvious fuck up. But no, you just kept doing your moves. It was a very unveteran thing for Dean Malenko to do.
Well, Dean Malenko's kind of a robot.
He was very robotic in this match, but he was a hell of a wrestling robot.
Oh, yeah.
He was way better than Dasha.
Again, let me write that down.
These are important notes to be learned. Bobby Heenan was blown away by this match. I could legit tell how impressed he was.
Bobby Heenan so wants to watch good wrestling and good storylines.
Who doesn't?
Well, like the other announcers just kind of go along with everything, but Heenan shuts off when it's terrible, but then he turns it on when it's good.
He's like weeping with joy watching this.
He was so happy to be calling something good.
Yes. So Dean hits a top rope gutbuster. Jericho runs out, hits Dean with a belt, and Ray rolls over and gets a 3 count. So Jericho is afraid of Dean. He'd rather fight Ray. A tremendous wrestling match. Disco Inferno and Alex Wright came out for a promo. A notorious moment in Nitro history here.
I do like the storyline that he's afraid of Dean, but he wants to fight Ray,
He's smaller.
who beat him the night before.
Yeah.
Right?
He's a stupid heel. So Disco and Alex here have formed a team called the Dancing Fools. And Tony is talking about them. He says, these dancing fools or dancing dildos, whatever you want to call them.
Is that what he said?
Oh, yeah.
I missed that.
Oh, it's a famous moment. The same night Sean talked about a lot of shit going down on Raw.
I remember
Tony's here
this
on
now.
Nitro talking about the dancing dildos.
That's right. I wonder what he was trying to say.
Well,
Dingbats?
I'm wondering if it was an accident.
That's true.
Is that something? I don't know if that's one of the 7 dirty words or not.
Oh, crap. We're on the air.
So Disco lost to Conan at the pay-per-view. He blames this on Wolfpack interference, and he's right. So he demands a rematch tonight, the Dancing Fools against any 2 members of the Wolfpack. So it's Kevin Nash and Lex Luger in this match. Now, like a month ago, Sting won possession of the tag titles and got to choose a partner.
Right.
And he picked Kevin Nash.
Right.
So Sting and Kevin Nash are the World Tag Team Champions. Since then, we've never seen those 2 wrestle as a team. But we have seen Sting and Luger twice, and now Nash and Luger.
Right.
What is the point of the Tag Team Championships?
I don't know.
Did they come out wearing their belts?
You may have missed him on Thunder or the pay-per-view. They're doing the Freebird rule, I guess.
I guess.
All I know
Then
is...
why do they do the big angle where Sting had to choose a partner?
Who the fuck knows? All I know is at the end of this match, Sting is so happy about something.
Oh, dude, he's happy from the
And
time he
he's-
came out.
He's laughing with Luger and he's patting him on the back. And I'm trying to figure out what's so funny. Here's the only thing that I could figure out. The finish of this match is Luger puts Alex Wright in the rack.
Yes.
And Nash
You're
is supposed
exactly
to
right.
boot Disco and give him the illegal powerbomb, which apparently is now legal. It takes Nash so fucking long
Yes.
to just boot this guy and lift him up and powerbomb him. Luger had this
Meanwhile-
guy in the rack for like 10 minutes. And I'm pretty sure that Sting is just howling and his buddy having to rack this guy and rack him and rack him. And of course, Luger doesn't just hold the guy. He's got to bounce up and down.
Oh, yeah.
And he's bouncing. And Alex Wright's just flopping all over. And he's bouncing. And he keeps bouncing.
getting more blown
And
up.
Nash is trying to figure out how to kick Disco. I was like, Jesus, this fucking Monday Night War is killing me.
So Nash eventually hits Disco with a massive powerbomb. Like, Disco is way over Nash's head at the highest point. And pins him, and the Wolfpack is the happiest bunch of wrestlers you ever saw.
They made them look like complete, well, fools.
Dancing dildos.
All I could think was, the Wolfpack came in here, clearly the dominant team going in,
Yes.
cheated to win, copious interference, all 4 guys getting involved. They used an unfair advantage that was totally unneeded. And everyone loved them.
That's true.
It was all... all right. Whatever. Okay. From Thunder, we had a clip of Mongo showing a clip of a classic Arn Anderson promo. Mongo said this relit the fire under me, and he asked Arn to think about it. And we had Eddie Guerrero versus Mongo. Chavo came out bald, wearing a cowboy hat, riding a hobby horse.
I can't take much more of this.
Eddie Guerrero, arguably one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, and he's stuck in this stupid storyline gimmick.
Yep. So Chavo wants
You know, like, until about 2 months ago, I always read about how the cruiserweights were so wasted in WCW. And up until 2 months ago, spring of 98, they weren't used that badly.
No, you're right.
And so I don't know.
We've had this argument before.
I know, but now I realize exactly why everybody left.
Yeah.
It's totally fallen off the cliff with this fucking hobby horse. It's in the last month or two, like it's fallen off a cliff. And I really saw it here. I was like, how could these people be working here? Eddie's feuding with Mongo. This fucking idiot's on a hobby horse. Like, it's so bad. The stuff with even Jericho's trying so hard, but this stupid storyline is just like a mess. Malenko, Eddie's gone, rule books, things flip. It's just bad. No wonder they left. I'm ready to leave. I can't handle Raw.
So Eddie goes up top for the frog splash when Chavo hits the ring, rides his horse around, and the rest says, that's a DQ. I'm just fucking done. Eddie dropkicks
Join the club.
Chavo into Mongo. He leaves. Mongo kills Chavo with a tombstone. This was a huge waste of time.
Not only that, you're underselling this thing with the ref. Chavo gets in the ring. I gotta sneeze. It'll be better than this show.
Look at the lights.
Not gonna do it.
Look at the lights.
Look at the lights.
It does help,
helps.
but I'm not gonna do it.
If this was Triple H, we'd be doing shoulder rolls. Right now.
Chavo's in the ring riding
Looking at
this.
the lights helps you stop sneezing?
No,
No, it
so it
helps
makes
you
you sneeze.
sneeze.
Ah, wait, what?
Yep. Next
Doesn't
time
make any more sense.
How
Next
old are
time
you?
you're about to sneeze and you feel like you got to sneeze, but you just can't look at the light, you'll sneeze.
Yep.
Really?
Every time, yeah. It's weird.
I never heard of this. Go on your
Well, we
right.
got 2-1 here, so
He's Googling it now.
I don't care
Lights
what Google tells you.
and-
It's a fact.
Sneezing, it comes up.
And
Yeah.
it also helps snort pepper. That'll help you sneeze.
That I buy.
Yeah.
Photic sneeze reflex,
Thank you.
also known as photoptarmesis,
Yep, exactly.
or autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmoptic outburst syndrome,
That's what I usually use.
or
sure.
which goes to a chew.
Only in, casual conversations.
So anyway,
This is my favorite part of the whole show. right
Chavo's
here.
out there on this stupid hobby horse. He's in the ring on a fake horse, yelling at Mongo about what's to be in the Horseman. How long did this go on before the ref rang the bell?
A while.
At least a
did
minute.
Hours!
He did several laps around the ring. In the ring. Around the... Yeah.
Garbage.
There's a lot written here about sneezing. Let's see.
Can we
Hogan,
just get going?
Hogan
I'm
versus
sick of this show.
Hogan versus Hall with Eric Bischoff as special ref. Hey, Brian, what's your favorite wrestling gimmick of all time?
I hate the heel ref. Why didn't they just screw him immediately?
Hogan's cheating and choking and blatant interference in front of the ref, and Bischoff doesn't care. And Hall drops to make a cover, and Bischoff won't count. But then Hogan goes to make a cover, and Bischoff counts one, and Hall grabs the ropes, and Bischoff says, oh, sorry, he's got the ropes.
You know another thing about this heel ref gimmick that's so stupid? It makes the babyface look so dumb. Like, Hall's in there. You know the guy is not going to count a pin for you. You know he's going to side with Hogan. You know that he's allowing Hogan to cheat, and they're just in there to screw you. Why don't you just leave?
Okay, let me counter.
Please explain.
I'm not going to defend this, but they wanted to teach Hall a lesson. So in this case, I can almost look past the bad, stupid heel ref thing.
Why didn't they just beat the living hell out of him like they did at the end of the match? What lesson are they teaching him?
If they stopped the match, they couldn't get their licks in.
Yeah, they could, because they got their licks in after the match.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Craig, I'm laughing at your argument.
What? They can't get their licks in without the match?
They had already signed the match, right?
Sure.
Okay. If they didn't have the heel ref, Bischoff, be the heel ref, Hogan couldn't get his hands on Hall.
Because
Now,
no one
Hall.
in wrestling has ever beaten somebody up after a match.
I understand.
Why didn't they beat him up and not sign the match?
That would have been better.
This is so stupid.
Like I said,
Do you know this company died? Do you know that they went out of business just scant years later? Are you aware of this?
I read that somewhere.
I got a book about it.
Yeah.
It's called The Death of WCW. It's available on Amazon.com, Audible.
You still have time if it's Prime.
Hey, listen,
another
Prime
hour.
Day.
Audible, any day you want, you get an Audible free trial, and you can get the book for free. You don't even have to pay for it. Do the Audible free trial. There's a link up on my Twitter, and read the damn book or have me read it to you for free. In case you're unaware, this company went out of business due to incompetence such as this.
Can you grab the book now and I'll lay on the couch here? And
It's right there. It's around here somewhere. It's in there.
Let's look at the bookshelf.
Yeah, don't get that one.
I found it.
There's one book on that. Never mind.
So Page runs out. He's brawling with Hogan. Nash runs out. He goes after Hogan. He checks on Hall. Hall and Nash are buddies, but then as soon as Nash turns his back, Hall jumps in from behind, and we get Hall and Nash in one corner, Hogan and Page in the other, and it goes on and on and on.
No buys.
No buys. Main event was Goldberg versus Kurt Hennig.
Beautiful.
First
Really
of all,
was.
I have a lot to say about this 40-second match. How great did that belt look around Goldberg's waist? Yep. It was born to wear that thing.
Yep.
You don't say.
You'll recall earlier on this program, Kurt said he had found Goldberg's weakness. And you know what he did? Goldberg has no defense for a slap to the face. It's the crack in his armor. Hennig slaps him in the face, scores a perfect shot, direct hit, bullseye. And then Goldberg no-sold it and his spear and a jackhammer in one.
Well, then apparently that's not his weakness.
No, blocking it is.
I see.
Absorbing it is a strength.
I thought when he meant his weakness, it meant his overall weakness, not a weakness.
Either way, he was wrong.
He was definitely wrong.
He did not win. He did not end the streak.
I loved this. I loved everything about it. I loved the setup. I loved the match.
You know who else loved it? The tens of thousands of people in this
They
building.
sure
They
did.
went crazy for seeing this champion win in 2 moves.
That was the one thing I noticed. As bad as WCW's been in the last 6 months, that arena was packed from the floor to the rafters.
You know how many times, and they were talking about sellouts too that they were having on the road.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've had people say, I heard this forever, and it never happened. You know, people are going to stop buying these Ronda Rousey pay-per-views. They don't like spending $60
Yeah.
for a main event that goes 30 seconds. You know how many times I heard that?
That's such BS.
The shorter they went, the more people purchased. Same thing with Goldberg. These fans sat through the most horrendous 3-hour show. They paid all that money. All they needed was 2 minutes. All they needed was a spear and jackhammer, and they went home happy.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. This guy was a treasure. Let's play a song. What do we got here? From Johnny.
I talked your mom into taking us to Baker, where I was born,
I heard.
and we're going to go out 10 miles east of Baker to see what's left of, where we live.
10 miles east of Baker appears to be a town called Plevna.
Plevna. Plevna.
Plevna is the name of it. And that's the part that's exciting. That's part of my bucket list that I had.
I've never heard of this word before. Don't ask me where it came from.
Plevna.
Huh.
Plevna.
Okay.
Plevna.
Brian, don't say that. I'm stressed out enough about it.
There you go.
Are they there yet?
Apparently,
Have they
Granny's having a time.
Have they reached Plevna?
She's alerted me that some of it's good, some of it's bad.
If you see the picture, it looks like all of it's bad.
Oh, Craig, she's going to be appalled.
They don't look happy in the picture, Brian. That's all I'm saying.
We're going to call her on Thursday
That's awesome.
and see how she's doing on her road trip.
You should call your mom and check on her.
Well, I've been contacting her. Don't fear not on that one. All right, everybody, that's it from here. We're going to wrap it up.
Hey, by the way,
Yes, Craig.
if you happen to be in the Seattle area and you're not doing anything Friday night, go down and watch NXT at the Paramount Theater. You might run into
We're all going to be there.
us three dorks.
Yeah, 3 of us and Kenneth.
Am I going?
Kenneth Nita.
Yes,
yeah, you
you
idiot.
Oh.
Where the fuck have you been? I texted you about this months ago.
Well, that's why. It was months ago. I forgot.
All right, you're out. I'm going to bring somebody else.
Well, it's Friday, Vinny, so
I'll see what I can do.
Oh, Jesus.
let me know. I got a little kid that wants to go.
Do you?
Vinny, go to the damn show. We're going to need to do a show on it anyway.
There you go.
Remember how much fun we had last time?
It was a blast.
It was great last time.
Yeah.
Maybe Nakamura will be there again.
No.
No.
Dude, I'll bet you Heavy Machinery is going to be there.
Ooh,
Bobby Roode's going to be
sold. Who cares? Heavy machinery.
All right, everybody. Well, on that note, we're out of here. We'll see you Friday at NXT. And, of course, all the other shows as well. Check it out, and we'll talk to you again after a while.
Good night.
Bye.